Welcome to Frontline 2012. I am Irama Kaisaidu and your host this and every Friday leading up to the December elections. On this program, we decide to invite the key personalities in this year's election and discuss the issues that really matter to you. And with me in the studio tonight, I have Madame Eva Lokko, the Vice Presidential Candidate of the Progressive People's Party. Welcome to Frontline.
Thank you.
How are you this evening?
Fine, thank you.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Okay, thank you for coming. So you recently outdoored as the vice presidential candidate for your party. Now, you are new to politics, although not entirely new to the general public. And we'll talk about your background in a few moments. But first I want to know, why enter politics now?
Well, I don't think that I have now joined politics. I think for most of our lives, we are actually, moving towards learning more about our countries, learning more about our capabilities, and then we choose a field, and then we start working in that field. But it's all part of development, and politics is all about development. So if you define politics in that way, it means that I have been involved in politics for a very long time. But
when we talk about party politics, you have not.
Party politics, definitely I'm a baby.
So were you a member of the PPP before the nomination?
Yes, I was. Okay. Yes, I was a member.
Okay, I've heard that the CPP also approached you for the similar position. Is that true?
Well, that's a very interesting question that I think the person who started it is the best person to answer that question, because I do not have the details. I don't know how.
So Dr. Abu Sakara did not call you?
No, I think that he's the right person who can answer that question. I don't want to get involved in somebody else's statements because I can't vouch for anything about it. So I think I'm not going to answer that question.
So would you have refused if they had called you?
Well, it's still answering that question in another way, so I'm not going to answer. I think that I chose to be with the PPP. I'm happy that they asked me to be the running mate of Papa Kwesi Indom. And I think that I accepted because I like the platform. I liked what they are planning to do. I've seen them doing some of it. I've been doing some of the things they are talking about. I'm passionate about youth employment, and they are passionate about youth employment.
Instead joining one of the more established parties, did that ever cross your mind?
You see, every party has a platform. And you look around and you see which platform suits your own, ideas, your own ideals, your own ambitions, what you want to do with the rest of your life. And basically, I see a party that is very transparent, well-structured. It has a leader who is passionate about the development of the country, and because of that, he's been doing so much. I am still trying to remember the name of that small village somewhere up there in the north, where Papa Kwesi Indom has actually established a training institution to train women and the youth so that they can set up their own businesses, and some of them have done so with his support. If I can't remember that name, and I've traveled around Ghana several times as a child, as an adult, and recently, I mean, what else do you need to tell you that this is somebody who is not just looking for power, but is looking to help develop his country so he can stand tall anywhere in the world and say, I am a Ghanaian. And Ghana is a good country, it's a well-developed country, it has such resources, it has fantastic. Who doesn't want to say that about their country?
So Dr. Ndom's personality was an important part of you making a decision to join PPP?
Exactly, his achievement. And other people. We have a lot of people in the party who have been helping Ghanaians at their own level, in their own corners, and trying to improve the livelihoods of others, helping with scholarships, helping with training, providing jobs, encouraging people, donating to, youth associations and so on. And why shouldn't I be among these people? I don't see why I should be looking elsewhere or thinking, I didn't get up one day and say, oh, I'm going to be a politician. No. I still don't call myself a politician, and I'm sure that Papa Kwesi Indom doesn't necessarily call himself a politician. If there was another way where we can come together and fix the problems of this country, we would have gone that way.
But it is your first time standing for office. Why did you not go about it the way your presidential running mates went about it? First going for the assembly, then going for the parliament, and only after that going for the very top. For you, you go straight to the top. And why is that?
Well, you know, it's very interesting. But I think that throughout all my life, everywhere I've been thrown in at the deep end, as one would say. And then I have to make sure that I don't disappoint anybody, so I work hard, come out, so I don't drown. You see, so maybe it's...
But did you hesitate?
Well, it was a bit of a shock. So, of course, for the first time in my life, I was speechless. And I'm sure a few people will not believe that I was speechless. But I said, I have to ask my, my family. That was the first thing that I said. And, of course, I had to go and talk to my family, and, you know, we debated on it, we talked about it. Everything that you can think of, we went through it. That's the family that I have, you know, sisters, brothers, children, husband, you know. Then in the end they decided, well, I mean, why sit on the fence? It's a good opportunity. You always claim you want to help your country. Now this is another
So
level.
your family was supportive in your decision?
Very supportive, very supportive. And I'm sure if they watch this, they will be sending me emails and telling me whether I did well, I didn't do well, what I left out and what I didn't. We are that close and we are that supportive.
So why were you chosen? Why do you think PPP reached out to you? What do you bring to the table?
Well, I can't say everything for them, but what I was told is that they set out to look for a very good running mate, somebody who is incorruptible, somebody who is competent, somebody who agrees with their 4 pillars, and somebody who had shown...
This being incorruptible, what does it mean? Are you different from everybody else?
Well, you see, it's a whole package, but if you pick the incorruptible, I think it's a very simple thing. Sometimes we put so many complications into it. Every institution has policies, okay? And there's this big policy thing. Out of that policy, there are rules and regulations. And then there are procedures and processes. All that incorruptible means is that you don't vary it depending on the face you're looking at. It means that if your mother comes, you treat her the same. Follow the procedure. If your enemy comes, follow the procedure. If your husband comes, follow the procedure. If you yourself have to do something, follow the... That's all that it means. Incorruptible. Just obey the rules. It's nothing special. It's very simple. It's when we start varying the procedures, varying the processes, then corruption sets in, because then somebody gets through the hole and they run with it and then they mess things up. Treat everybody the same. You
have worked as a public servant before.
Yes,
Can you tell us about some situations where you have done the right thing?
Well, I've always followed procedures. In fact, because of that, a lot of people think I'm too strict, I'm too stiff. Procedure saves all of us. If there's a procedure, you follow it. We have this very interesting, I'll give you something funny. The minister, one of the ministers of information at that time was coming to visit GBC. As soon as he got there, because the minister opened the gates, I stopped them. I said, no, we are going to reception, you're going to sign in, we're going to get clearance, and we'll go in. Everybody thought that was strange, you know. You give instructions, and they went through it. They didn't mind. They went through it because that's the right thing to do. And we were cleared and we went through.
So let's talk about your work experience a little bit. You were the first woman to be Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation.
Yes, I am.
How did you end up there, and why did you subsequently move on?
Well, you see, a lot of people tend to think that this is the first time I'm working in Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. I actually worked in GBC as a studio technician. I've been doing some of these things. I've been threading people, doing lighting and so on. I've gone to the Accra Sports Stadium, laid cables for outside broadcasts and so on, vision mixing, name it.
So you understand our people in the studio here?
Definitely. I appreciate their work. I know why they do what they do, and I personally have this desire that very soon we'll have director of camera, director of photography and all those, so that they can climb their own ladder upstairs instead of the way we currently tend to group them under production, you know. So I've been there. as a technician, we started having all sort of equipment, computerization and so on. So I left and came back as a broadcast engineer, same in GBC. So I was the first woman broadcast engineer in the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. As a technician, there were other ladies with me. I think we were about 5 at that time. And then afterwards, I left again to go to school, did my master's in satellite communications engineering, did my master's in management information systems and so on, and then went to work with the UNDP. So I worked with the UN system for 13 years, then came back home, and then finally applied again, you know, I mean, mostly through my friends saying, I mean, if you are back, you know, why don't you go and help? So I applied, I went through an interview, a huge interview panel, I think 11 plus people on the panel. We had, I think, 2 or 3 days of interviewing. And that was how I went to GBC. So
and how was your experience there? How many years were you there?
I was there for almost 4 years. And basically we did a lot of work. Interestingly enough, I was part of the engineers that brought color TV to Ghana. I was there, I was part of them. And then this time as Director General, the current equipment that they have and the current transmission system, that's the 2 major projects that I worked on. So we now have satellite transmission at GBC. We have almost all our equipment is digital, because we were waiting for the move to digital transmission. So at the time that when we are ready, we only have to change just a few things at the transmitter end, because we can't transmit when people don't have digital TV. And then Ghana will be ready, of course, when everybody is made ready for that transition.
So after GBC, you moved on and
yes, I set up an NGO.
You set it up yourself?
Yes, I did.
So tell us about that a little bit. What does
it's called Totally Youth. What we do is that we have an open house, and we have 3 levels of, you know, participants. We have the club, youth club, where if you're looking for a job, but I mean you're confident enough and you need facilities like internet and a computer and somewhere to sit, you sign up for the club and you do just that.
Okay, so where is this located?
It's just near Alisa Hotel, Northridge. So you can walk in any time. Then we have the capacity building level, where you come, you need some help. There are certain things you're trying to do that you're not quite comfortable. We group them and then we build their capacity.
So is this where Dr. Ndum found you?
I don't know if he found me.
That's your most recent job?
Yes, but basically I have attended meetings. You know, you hear of something, you join, you are invited, so you go to meetings. So, but I met him whilst I was still in GBC. Now, a lot of people may not know that we had this whole reform process going on. And he was then the Minister of, I think, Public Reform. I've forgotten the name. Yes. There are so many of them. And we actually worked together to restructure GBC. He actually found money to support the restructuring. So
this is not the first time
This is not the first time. So we've worked hard together. I know that he's interested in reform. Okay. I know that
I'm more interested now
there.
Again in the NGO that you started. So
the next stage
works
is
with youth.
Yes,
and
with
where does
youth.
it get its funding from, and how many people
sometimes
work with you?
Sometimes we ask for funding, and some people donate, you know, and I mean entities and individuals donate, but most of the time I use my own money and of course some of the family money